Yo, what is going on, YouTube? It is your boy Big Play Slay here, coming back with another video. And in today's video, we're gonna be talking about Carson Wentz. This is an interesting topic, as I am an Eagles fan. Y'all already know that. And there's a lot of people that hate this guy to the point that they just wanna punch him in the face, type stuff. So we'll just be breaking down, could he have a redemption season based off the new situation he's in with the new rebranded Washington Commanders. So let's just jump into this video. This guy's been all over the place. Philly, Indy, now Washington. He just can't catch a break. And then it's like injuries caught up to him at the start of the season. He had that little toe injury that he had since high school. But let's just dive into his stats. The man had 3,563 yards, 27 touchdowns, 7 interceptions, 94.6 QBR, 62.4 completion percentage. He didn't do too bad statistically, but like I always say, man, that film is always different. He had so many dropped interceptions, and I think if you go back and check in 2017, I'll get to the Eagles later with Carson Wentz, but 2017, I think he had a lot of dropped interceptions, and with this situation in Indy last year, he had a really good squad, can't take them to the playoffs. I think a 42 to 40 year old Phillip Rivers got them to the playoffs, and this man didn't. And I'm not saying Phillip Rivers is the end all be all, but he did his job to get to the playoffs. And that Colts team, almost beat that Bills team, but almost isn't gonna cut it in this league. But let's look at Carson Wentz's situation. Arguably the best running back in the NFL last year. He played like the best running back in the NFL last year. And Jonathan Taylor. You also have guys like Michael Pittman on that offense. They had Mo Cox. I forget that tight end that just retired. Or Jack Doyle. They had him. Arguably the best O-line in football. I think it's the Eagles, but the Colts are definitely up there. But the defense was at least top 10. One of the best defenses in football. They held a lot of teams under, not even at a high percentage, but they held them to a low standard. But Wentz statistically played well. The film had a lot of dropped interceptions, and I think there was a lot in the Niners game. But let's go to his Eagles last season, where he played absolutely atrocious. He had 2,620 yards, 16 touchdowns, 15 interceptions, 93.1 QBR, 57.4 completion percentage. Not the best stats at all. He played terrible, to be quite frank, and to be completely honest, and like I always say, man, this dude needs the right team around him, because like I always said, in 2017, when he got hurt, was he really the most valuable player to his team? When you look at most valuable player awards, you look at the player that was most valuable player to their team. And to be quite honest, I honestly have spun my head around this. And I honestly think Todd Gurley should have won the MVP that year. Because, let's just be real, the only reason they gave it to Tom Brady in 2017 was because they not only did they go to the Super Bowl that year, but he was, I guess, the second to third best quarterback statistically on paper that year. But a lot of people, me personally, if it had to go to any quarterback, it should have been Wentz. But, Brady won it, can change it. But most valuable players to the team was Todd Gurley. Because, let's just put it this way, Wentz got hurt, we went to the Super Bowl and we won it. If Todd Gurley gets injured, God forbid that year, which he didn't, do the Rams still make the playoffs? And I'll keep bringing that up because it's such an interesting topic. But 2020 was just not our year, and Wentz played terrible. But he played a little bit better with Indy last year. Now, this is my projected stats for him going into this season. 3,956 yards, 26 touchdowns, 12 interceptions, 93.5 QBR, 61 completion percentage, 0.1 completion percentage. So it's not gonna be terrible. The interceptions will show this time, because let's not forget and let's not act like Washington's O-line is amazing. Obviously, statistically, they were good last year, but let's just keep it a buck. Name me one player on your offensive line. I cannot tell you one player on that O-line right now, if I had to tell you straight up. And that's just me being honest. So now you get a quarterback that has a way slower release than Taylor Heineke. You're probably going to expect a lot of interceptions. You're probably going to air it out a lot. You have the players to do it. Can Wentz redeem himself? It is possible. I just don't think the man is going to be like, an MVP caliber quarterback. And that's okay. Not everyone's going to be like a Mahomes. But, you have the pieces. You just added Jahan Dotson through the draft. That's a really good receiver from Penn State. Had the best body control last year. I believe it was him or London. You also re-signed Terry McLaurin, a top 10 receiver in this league, and one of the most underrated players in this league. Now he's not going to be underrated as much. You already have Antonio Gibson, and he's one of those on the chip type shoulder running backs, and he's going to get you those yards. Chase Young, one of the best young defensive players in the game. He's one of those standouts for that Washington defense. Montez Sweat, that's another one. Another one of those young stars that is pretty good. And I actually take him over Chase Young. So there is literally no excuses for Wentz besides the fact that they have Ron Rivera. And I'm not saying Rivera is atrocious. But to me, he's really had no big winning seasons besides one or two. Maybe three, but besides that, he's been in this league for a while, so you should have more wins as a head coach. That could come off the teams that he was on, but he is a player's coach, and Wentz really needs a player's coach, because you can't be too nice to the guy or too friendly to him, because that's just not going to coach him up. D. Filippo, the QB coach we had in 2017, really coached him up, and that was one of his best years. And he had dropped interceptions that year, but he still played, pretty good. He played at MVP caliber. So it is possible for him to have a good year, but we'll see. They have the pieces. There's no excuses. But I'm out. Y'all have a good day.